All right, everybody. All right, everybody, come on in, come on in. It's been a while, so good to see you all here. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Maggie and Lucy, where we believe the older women should teach the young, just like the late, great Kevin Samuel said. Lucy and I like to come on here with you all from time to time and give you our perspective as two mature women with a combined over 40 years of marriage experience. And if you see, there it is, that QR code, our flagship course starts next week. We only do it 2 times a year. So those of you all who have been waiting for the finishing school for the modern woman, registration is open and we start class a week from today. This is our 8-week signature course where we teach ladies how to be the best version of themselves at all ages, leading with femininity, elegance, and etiquette. But today, we're going to give you all some real world and life and relationship advice. So, Lucy, hello to you, and please remind us, what are we reacting to today?
Wow, it's been so long since I sent you that piece. I think it's from Chisha Zed. I think he's got a compilation of happy women versus bitter women. The happy women are married, the bitter women are not. And it talks about, it goes back to keep knowing the company you keep. Are you a married woman with happy married women that go out and spend time together and just do nice, good things with each other? Or are you a married woman that has friends that are either divorced or are single, looking to mingle? So again, just be careful with the company you keep. And this is a good piece to start the day or to maybe continue the day.
Absolutely. So this video, as always, I put it in the description, and thank you very kindly to Chisa Zed for allowing us to react to it. This one is called Why Happily Married Women Stay Far Away from Bitter Modern Women. That's a lot. And, I'll give you all your 2 disclaimers. Again, Lucy and I are here for the women who have chosen marriage and family in their prime years. We are not trying to convince you. If you want to do something else, that is totally fine. Just do it over there because you're not going to be happy over here. And like I said, if you want to watch it without our commentary, the link is in the description. You can do that because we are going to pause and interject. But Lucy's right. The company that you keep is really important. And I'm going to be talking about the finishing school. But one of the things that I love, besides the curriculum, is the community that we have created. So much so that some of our students had a little virtual tea party today to keep the connection going. Because ladies, when you decide to move differently, when you want to be known as a woman who is respected in the community and is remembered for all of the right reasons, you may have times where you feel alone and it's going to be harder to find like-minded people. You're going to have to seek that out. It's not going to be as easy as it was when we were in college and those first few years of working where you're always around people who are kind of like you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to get right into it. This video is about 20 minutes long. As always, we love to bring you all into the conversation. So bring your comments into the chat and then we will bring them up on screen. So let me share my screen. All right. Perfect. And let's go ahead and get into this one.
You guys notice that no matter where you turn, no matter the platform, there's an excess of toxic relationships, people going through it, and even here on the coffee pod. What's going on? Well, apparently the single women, yes, the ones who are getting reported on a daily basis, also want to know where all the happily married women are. And I know a lot of married people are subscribed to my channel. This is going to be a really interesting, good video. And I'd like to know what you guys think. So, of course, feel free to chime in. Let's check it out.
A video just popped up on my For You page where a woman was asking if happily married women are gatekeeping their happiness. As a happily married woman, the answer is absolutely yes. And I'll tell you why. A lot of times when we try to say things like we have a good husband, we have a husband that doesn't cheat, we have a good man, there's always going to be someone saying, oh, enjoy it for now. It's not going to last. There's always someone that's going to try and come rain on your parade. And that gets old pretty quick. I personally like to share things to encourage other women because there is so much negativity, especially on social media, a lot of man hating. I like to share my perspective because it's like, girl, not all men are like this. Not all men are crazy. Not all men are cheaters. But when you try to share, it's like people don't want to hear the happy. They don't want to hear the positive. They want to hear all the negatives. Yes, happily married women, a lot of times we're out there. We might not be very vocal because people always are so negative. And think about why it's so easy to always believe the negative versus the positive. Like we can have 10 women come out and say all men are cheaters and everybody's like, yeah, I agree with that. 100 women come out and say, I have a good man. I know he's not cheating. And people are like, are you sure?
Right.
Are you sure about that? How do you know that? So I guess my point is like, just because you might not see a lot of happily married women sharing about their relationships, that does not mean that they don't exist. Most of the time, we decide not to talk about our relationships or share anything about our relationships because we're just tired of the negativity. It's like we have to convince people that we're happy. And it's like, why bother? Why just be happy in obscurity?
I agree.
All right, I love that. Let's go ahead and unpack this one. I love what she said. Why not just go ahead and agree in obscurity? It reminds me, if you all remember, and Lucy and I both came from the Kevin Samuel space. Do you remember how women used to call in? And this is not about high value men, but do you remember women used to call in and say, where are all the high value men? You know, I don't see them, or I never met any. Ladies, honestly, that says more about you, that you are either invisible to them or they are invisible to you. Just because you haven't seen something or experienced something, don't make it a blanket statement that it must not exist because it doesn't exist for you. And her point is well taken. And I actually advise women, we tell them, especially once you start to like couple up and get married and move on into life, you are going to either naturally or intentionally kind of lose touch with some people. Am I telling you that you need to be, cut off all of your friends? Absolutely not. But what I would advise young ladies, especially, listen to the way that your friends, and I'm even going to include family, speak about relationships in general. Your relationship in particular, if you have one, but relationships in general. Are they supportive? Are they positive? Are they encouraging? Or as soon as you go out on one date, well, girl, you know what they say about these type of men, or whatever it is. If their knee-jerk reaction is the nuclear response, going from 0 to 100 because they have a string of failed relationships, that is the information that you need to know that you're not going to be the exception. You're not going to be able to convince them, and you shouldn't waste your time trying. All right. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, it's funny you bring up Kevin Samuels. One of the things that I learned in Kevin Samuels is while moderating is that anytime I shared anything good about my husband, the comments were, "Oh, he's corny. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that." And I learned very quickly that nah, you don't share any of the good things about your life because there are going to be people looking for that opportunity to put you down or to put your happiness down. And unfortunately, in this world, this modern world, it looks like people are just looking to tear people down instead of saying of aligning yourself with the good things about life. So again, just for the young ladies, just like Maggie said, look to see how people talk about their relationships, and that will tell you a lot about who they are rather than the actual relationship.
Could not agree more. Let's see what Chisa has to say.
Listen, I agree. You guys would know something that's really interesting. Most of the people I run into, it's no surprise, but at this point, are men who are married. Once in a while will be a woman if I've been recognized. And so why am I saying that? Well, I think people just believe that people who are in fulfilled and grounded, strong marriages, they exist, but they keep to themselves for the exact same reasons she gave. And we're talking about online here. There's just too many people who are negative, and you don't owe them anything. You don't get anything from getting online and trying to help anybody who doesn't want to be helped. Let me give you an example. How I view most people who are in this dating market is picture a group of people throwing shit at each other. Literally, they're out there actually throwing shit at each other. And you want to go and try to convince them why they should stop throwing shit at each other. But a part of you is thinking, they might throw shit at me. Right? They're out there in chaos. People like to say the dating pool is filled with piss and shit. Yeah. They're out there in chaos, shit on their faces, going through hell, getting dragged back and forth, out there in battle while you're walking peacefully, living your life. And now they're upset. They're like, hey, why don't you come over here? And because you don't want to listen. Because when the women say, I do this for my husband, I do that for my husband, they'll say, oh, I'll never do that. I'm not a slave. And the men get it too. Hey, I've got it on this channel. My final conclusion is F them. Now, of course, I'm being a bit facetious, but not really. I mean that towards people who aren't interested in hearing anything positive because they may not value the same type of relationship you have, which is fine. You got to be able to recognize that. You got to be careful. It's just best, from what I've seen, to keep your relationship offline. And if you believe that it's your job to get online and show different aspects and, talk about positive aspects, once in a while I do that too, not very often. Here on the Coffee Pod, we talk about the realities of marriage. Now, part of the reason I created Brew Brothers, which is a community that I created specifically for men who value marriage, a private community, was so that men could have a space so they could talk about these things. Unfortunately, I haven't been as active as I would like to be in the community since building fathershaverights.com, but we're getting there. All right, so let's see some responses here. Of course, guys, curious to know what you think. Top comment here says, for those of us who are not yet married and want to be happily married, we would love to hear what you have to say. Is it worth it? If you want it that bad, pay for it. Pay for it to them, not me. Another person who says, I've noticed that the moment someone starts praising their man publicly, it's almost jinxed it. I'm okay with keeping that happy part of my life to myself. I don't have anything to prove and don't feel any pressure to share with the world. It's also just one part of me. I'm so much more than my husband. I want you to imagine a man said this, right, about his wife. I'm so much more than my wife. Somebody else, she says, we're happy because we're private. Another person here added, we don't need outside validation. Okay, let's check out this next video here.
A woman.
All right, so I just want to unpack that a little bit because Chisa had his own commentary, and I like for what we do to be helpful. He said something that I want to circle back to. I don't know if this is scripture, but no good deed goes unpunished, and I'm very protective of the students that we have and the young ladies who come to us for support. I believe that when you are in those building years, when you're young and growing your family, that is your responsibility. Your family that you are creating is your primary goal. You are not responsible for your wayward friends or perpetually single girlfriends to try and rescue them from themselves. Once you get age and experience like Lucy and I, we've had our life experience. Now we can give back when we want to, but please believe, not everybody's going to appreciate it. So what can you do? There was a comment he read there about someone saying, well, some of us want a happy marriage, so we want you to share. And he said, we'll pay for it. And Kevin Samuels used to say that too. Ladies, it is going to require you to invest a little bit, and it may not be money, but it could be time. If you see a woman that has a relationship that you admire, I would advise you to approach her one-on-one. Maybe I can take you for a coffee. Maybe I can have 15 minutes of your time. I really admire the relationship that you have with your husband, and I'd like to pick your brain. But expecting to be able to just sit back at home in your pajamas and do nothing, and have those of us who have worked hard for decades just kind of give all of what we've done, it's too much of a risk, and nobody's going to do that. Nobody owes you the keys to the kingdom. Nobody owes you telling you what they did, step by step. So you're going to have some skin in the game. So yes, there will be women who will share, but privately, yes, but probably publicly, no. All right. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and we are selective on who it is that we're going to be sharing that information. We can tell you, we can give you some tips, we can give you a little bit, but again, that sharing takes time away from our own environment, our own home, our own husbands. That for us, at least for me, I better see that you're taking action with some of the things that I tell you the first, second, and third time. And the fourth time, if I see no change, then it's my wasted time. And I can go and say, you know what, it's been a great relationship, take care and you go on your way. Because again, our time is very valuable. I honestly, I prefer to be spending it at home, cleaning my house, doing my own chores, my private stuff, than having to share some of the stuff that has gotten me to this point, to 20, 21 years of marriage, to then give it to somebody that's going to say, yeah, can I spend some time with you? And then later on, you're going to do what you're going to do because that's what you want to do.
That part right there. Yeah. Like Mr. President will tell you, you got one time in a row. And ladies, if you think that's mean, I don't know what to tell you. Think about it in the business sense. Nobody who is accomplished, if you are asking for a mentor and you have done none of the groundwork and you just want to take time, like Lucy said, it costs us something to give back. So like I always tell y'all, we're here until we're not. All right. So you want to make sure you're prioritizing your own relationship. Let's go back in.
Posted a video and she was asking like where all of the women in happy relationships are, where all of the happy women in marriages are, and if we are gatekeeping our husbands and gatekeeping our relationships. And the answer at this point is like, yes. I did not used to, right? Like if you've been following me for a long time, you'll know this used to be a relationship account. Like this used to be me and my husband. It was just an account about us. But like after some time, it gets exhausting. And I don't mean it gets exhausting between the two of us. I mean, it gets exhausting between other people's comments. No matter what we did for each other, no matter how well we loved each other, there were always negative comments. And it's exhausting. He could be doing one of the most like hardest things in the world for me, and somebody would say that's bare minimum. I could be loving him in the way that he is asking to be loved, and people would say that I am not doing enough for him. I mean, you cannot win on this app.
Right.
After years and years of that, I just got tired. I got tired of dealing with negative comments, and I don't want to anymore. And I can only block but so many people before I lose my mind. So instead, I just switched to book content more. And like, yes, I still have my husband around, and when he fits into like the theme of the video, I'll still have him around. But like in general, yeah, I'm gatekeeping my relationship. I'm gatekeeping my husband now.
I don't see.
And there's another one. I want to unpack that and then we'll listen to what Chisa said. I love what she said about it just gets exhausting. And so, for those needles in the needle stack, the women who are really serious about marriage and family and relationship, you have to understand that we are the exception, not the rule. And in order to get that real connection with someone who is genuine about helping you and you are genuine about taking the advice and actually acting on it, there's so much noise and so much fluff that can be blocking that. I love what she said about, my husband can be doing something great for me and someone's going to say that's not enough. And I could be loving him and someone's going to have something to say. Meanwhile, the people who have something to say, I would ask, where are their relationships? Like I said, we had a virtual tea earlier today, and one of our students just came up on a year anniversary and decided to reenact their first date. And their first date was at Starbucks. So for their 1 year anniversary, because they didn't want to spend a lot of money, they went back to that Starbucks. And for me, that is just the most beautiful, touching thing, because those are the things you're going to remember. A lot of times single women think, oh, it's got to be this big production and you got to spend all this money and it's got to be elaborate. And we all like nice things. But just like a kid at Christmas, I'll ask you, what did you get for your 10th birthday? Do you remember? What was the Christmas gift that you got at age 12? You don't remember that, but you do remember those moments that actually bring you closer and mean something. So don't let other people, especially people who you would not trade places with, rain on your parade. Go ahead and build with your man, make those memories, and get on out of this dating market because they can't help you. What would you add, Lucy?
That's so funny that you brought up that, because I wrote it in quotes that that's the bare minimum. And I wrote right below it, from the perpetually single. So those are the ones that are usually wanting everything, but they don't know what it is to have an actual relationship. And that's how you know that these women that throw shade and throw all of that stuff are the ones that have never had a meaningful relationship. Because again, having a meaningful relationship has nothing to do with offering the bare minimum. It has to do with two people coming together with their, flaws, and accepting each other as they are. So it's fascinating to see some of these women wanting, telling the wives that they're keeping their husbands. And yeah, it's for a reason.
You said throwing shade. I almost had a moment because Chisa was just talking about throwing stuff at each other. And we love men. We just love how they just shoot it straight. And man, that visual is going to stick with us for a while. All right, let's go back and listen to what he has to say.
Anything wrong with that? And listen, some people are able to put their relationship out there and they just don't care. I believe it just comes with more negativity than positive, right? And if you're a couple who's able to get out there and, do it in a way where you're not putting too much of your private life and it's not affecting you guys too much, that's a very unique type of situation. Yes, you're going to get the hate. You're going to get the people talking down on you, especially the women who are going to be praying for your downfall. People are very miserable. And again, I've seen it here, even on my channel. Let's check out a few more comments. This lady says, enjoy it while it lasts. I'm sorry you were hurt, but not everyone is miserable. I've seen these comments. People are like, enjoy it while it lasts. He's going to cheat on you. Here's somebody else who says, my ex did all that and still cheated. So they're quoting comments that people leave underneath their videos. Goes on to say, you get used to it someday. All men cheat. That's another quote there. Like, can y'all stop deflecting? Go to therapy, not my comment section. Somebody else, he says, some people cannot stomach seeing people are truly happy and will do anything to try to wallow in their own misery and apply it to the world around them. I didn't realize this was that bad. I really didn't. I really did not realize it was as bad as it was until I started growing up more and seeing that there are people who look at happy people, other happy people, and they feel bad and they just have to say something negative to make themselves feel better because somebody is in a happy place. Another comment here says, please continue gatekeeping. It's not worth the stress. It's not. Somebody else here added, misandrists are wild out here. They love to bash men for existing and will tarnish happiness in couples. Another person here says, happily married 28 years, and we don't share anything with anybody. I comment vague things sometimes, but I've goofed recently and commented the other day that not all in-laws are bad and was warned they would switch up on me even after 28 years of being complete.
So we've seen a lot of posts on here about people gatekeeping happy marriage.
All right, I'm going to come to her. I just want to talk about a couple things Chisa said, and then we'll go to the next section. So yes, we are belaboring the point, ladies. If you have a happy relationship, my advice would be to keep it to yourself. If you are going to share with your trusted friends that have demonstrated that they do want you to win, either those, like Lucy said, that are already in their own relationships or married or aspire to be one day. You all know over here, we got a one time in a row rule, meaning, and like I said, this could be your family too. If you have somebody that you've shared, oh my goodness, let's just say this 1 year anniversary thing. And we went back to the Starbucks where it all began and just had a coffee and talked about this last year together. And somebody gives you that's all you did? He didn't take you here, there, and buy you this and whatever. That's everything that you need to know. Do not waste your time thinking that the next time or the next piece of advice, because they're always going to throw rain on your parade, and it's just not worth it. The other thing that he said I think that woman in that last clip said that her channel, whatever platform she was on, started off being a couples channel, but because of all the exhaustive comments, now she's doing book reviews or something like that. And Lucy and I have talked about this, ladies. When it comes to social media, 9.9 times out of 10, your men do not want to be out here, for public consumption. Now, if you all are a public couple and that's what you agreed, and it's been like that from the beginning, and you give maybe marriage advice or whatever, I don't know. It's still a stretch for me, but by nature, we women have community. By nature, men prefer solitude. So do not drag him kicking and screaming. Find a way that you can express yourself, share your, things about your hobbies or whatever you want to do if you want to. But my man said this: the amount of social media that your man wants is the amount of social media that he had when you met him. So if he really wasn't online, if he really wasn't commenting and doing stuff just because he's with you, he does not want to change that. All right. What would you add, Lucy?
And remember that we also have to protect our men. That's one way that we protect them, by not sharing everything that happens in our relationship. It's nobody's business what happens in your relationship. In fact, the more private you are, the more he's going to appreciate you for protecting the sanctity of what it is that you have as a relationship.
Agreed. All right, let's go back in there and see what else Chisa has to say, or the next clip.
Right. So we've seen a lot of posts on here about people gatekeeping happy marriages, right? So on the one hand, I get it, because especially if you're surrounded by the wrong people, you get too happy and they start nitpicking and planting stuff, and you want to keep your happiness to yourself because you want to stay happy. The other part of me that happens to be on a platform talking about my happy marriage wants more people to talk about it so that more people know that they exist. It almost seems like all of the anger and hurt and sadness and frustration is at the forefront, and all of the happiness is in the back. And again, I get wanting to protect your relationship, wanting to protect your happiness, your own mental, but at the same time, you want to also be like a support for people who may just feel like there is no happiness out there. It's never going to find me. They have not seen it in their own lives. And they're just hoping, wishing, and praying. It always shocks me when people are like, you seem so happy, especially people that I know. Like, I get a lot of people now at work who come up to me like, I saw your podcast and you guys are so happy. It's nice to see. And that almost makes me sad, because it's like, it's a shock that someone can actually be happy in their marriage. You're supposed to be happy in your marriage. You're supposed to want to shout it from the rooftops and want everyone to see it. I think, that we lose something when we have to keep it a secret. Like, I'm not saying go and gloat about it, flaunt it to other people, just live in it, right? You don't have to go hop on the internet and start a podcast or get on here and shout it, but just live in it. It's okay to just be happy and express that your partner is not making you happy because, you have to make your own self happy, but that you're just happy with your partner.
I'll say.
All right, ladies, you heard that from this beautiful young lady, but I have to respectfully disagree. She said that, and I understand the sentiment. She said that she wants people to talk about happiness in their relationships because we should want to share so that it's not a shock to other people. People should know that, yes, you can be happily married. And my disagreement comes from, she kind of said it towards the end. I don't think you have to talk about it. You just have to live it and be it. One of the pieces of advice that I gave one of my students, mentees, she was trying to build a social media something, and she is, recently married. And what I told her, I said, look, you are winning. Just the fact that at your age you have chosen marriage instead of being out here doing who knows what for who knows how long, all you have to do is just stay on track. year after year. Holidays are coming up. You're going to have your friends, and I've learned this. I'll say learn this the hard way. People that you spend so much time and effort trying to convince them and wrestle them to the ground and no, you need to see it this way. And they're like Lucy said, they're going to buck up and do what they want to do anyway. Leave them alone. A few weeks from now, a few months from now, a few years from now, you will come back into contact with them. And I can almost promise you that they'll be back to the same foolishness that they were doing that you tried to rescue them from. Meanwhile, another year has gone by, another baby has been born, another anniversary has been celebrated, or whatever. You're happy in your relationship. I say this, like I said in the beginning, the people that want marriage and family, that want relationship, that don't have it, I say the onus is on them to seek it out, to ask, to say, you know what, I seem to kind of things fall apart at the 6 months, mark, can you help me? What am I doing wrong? I think you need to seek it out if you want that. It is not my responsibility to put my relationship on display so you can cherry pick from all the things that I do and say, yes, I like that, but no, I wouldn't do that. So I would have to respectfully disagree. I understand the sentiment, but no, people need to seek it out. What would you add, Lucy?
I agree. And you say a lot, consider the source. Remember that this lady has made her, maybe her job is to do that relationship podcast and talking about a happy relationship. So yeah, she has to market. She has to sell what she is presenting. But again, in the normal world, the more private you can keep your relationship, I think it works better because there's less, I don't know, because of that negativity, there's a lot of people that have those really negative vibes that may want to be wishing ill on something that is just so treasured for you that you just want to keep it away from it. I mean, I'm Latina. We believe in that kind of like bad mal de ojo, that bad eye thing that somebody looks at you the wrong way and it's like, no, stay away from it. So my dog is having a fit back here. So those are things that it's like, yeah, you want to keep it as much away from your day-to-day living, because if you're happy, if you have a happy marriage, people will know, they will see it, they will want to be it. You don't have to market it.
I agree. And I'll just say this and we'll go and listen to what Chisa said. So, young ladies, especially in the beginning of your relationship, when you all are still getting to know each other and learn each other and adjust yourselves to each other, that is probably the worst time to try and pull other people along. It's no coincidence that Lucy and I are here in a mature age when we have decades of relationship experience behind us. All right. So what I told my young student, and I'm like, look, the feelings that you have, the things that you're passionate about will always be there. Your number one priority right now as a newlywed is to study your man, customize yourself to him, build your family. And then once you've had your, decades together, you've raised your children, they're up and out, you all are settled and you're ready for a hobby, by all means. But do not do it at the sacrifice of your own family. And Lucy mentioned that young woman, I guess she has a podcast or something like that. I've seen this before, and unfortunately, the evil eye is real. Ladies, if you do have some type of platform or business or whatever it is, I'll take myself as an example. There's nothing that I can do here for you all that will be worth it if it damages the real relationship that I have. If I am putting my kids, on display like some type of stage mom, and then I'm horrible behind the scenes. For me, I couldn't live that way. There are some people that it's like, oh, the show must go on. This is not a show. This is the real world. All right. Let's see what Chisa has to say.
Say this. If she feels called and, she's obviously married, there are people who feel called to create a platform that's like marriage focused and they're focused on ways to work through relationships, conversations, so on and so forth. I think that's great. Right. And for those people, they're going to get that audience. One thing that I've noticed, after doing this for 5 years, I remember somebody saying, oh, these platforms, they push negativity and toxicity all the time. thought to myself, that's really interesting. Part of me wondered, why do people have that expectation? Because, for example, no one goes on the news and says, why is CNN always reporting on negativity, or Fox? No one looks at like traditional media and says, why do they always report on toxicity, or whether you're watching Divorce Court? Why can't they have a positive couple come up? And, I just have to remind people, because I don't think people see, because these platforms are so personal. They think you should be doing this. No. I think if that's what you feel called to do, then do it. I'm sure this lady serves the audience. And again, guys, I'll be careful with the word happy and just using happy and saying you're supposed to feel happy. From what I've seen, marriages along, maybe it's me spending so much time with the elderly for most of my life. I remember an elderly couple telling me that they had 10 years where they pretty much couldn't stand each other. And you may think, wow, I would never go through that for 10 years. But this couple, the husband was 99 and the wife was 100. And if they got married in their early 20s, you realize that was a small portion of their marriage, right? Life is long.
Like, I just want more people to share that.
Yeah, I would like more people to share it too. But I think
I'm happy to see a husband here.
Reason why people are having this conundrum here where they're just like, they don't believe that happy marriages or happy relationships is because I think we have that negative review syndrome. You know how you go online and you see a product you might want to buy or a restaurant you might want to go to. You look at the reviews. I don't know how many people do this, but you look at the reviews and you'll see all these negative comments up first, even if it has like a 4.5 stars or something like that.
Right.
You'll see all these negative comments and you'll be like, you know what? I'm actually not going to eat there because these people said it was nasty.
Right.
So, but then if you look at the whole list of comments, you will see that there are quite a few positive comments down there, but you can't even get to them because there's a small forest of negative comments in the beginning. And I think that's kind of how we kind of conduct ourselves. Unfortunately, as humans, we lean more into the negative, I guess, as a survival tactic. So it's just like, we look at the negative and we're just like, you know what? I'm not going to try that because what if that happens to me? Right. You're not even understanding that the negative comments that you're hearing are people that are basing their negative experiences off of 4 or 5 people that they dealt with. You kind of got to take that with a grain of salt a lot of times, but I get it, because people will be like, well, how do you explain so many people have a negative experience, even if it is with 4 or 5 people? Again, I don't know if y'all know it, but it's billions of people. I don't really think that people know or can really fathom, how much a billion people is. Like that's a lot of people. So we just can't take these negative experiences from everybody and just use that to inform our complete, knowledge of the opposite.
I think.
Okay. So I agree with the first part. I disagree with the second part. What this brother was saying here. The part I agree with is, yes, we do tend to lean towards being more affected to negative comments, negative news. And that's part of just who we are as humans, right? We want to survive. So we're attuned to danger. So when you hear something, you pay more attention to the negative side of things. It's who we are, human nature. But here's where I disagree. I don't blame people to a certain extent. I don't. Because if marriage had a rating, and I like that he used the restaurant idea, and particularly where we experience it here, where they aren't a billion people in the US. But if marriage had a rating in the West, it wouldn't be a 3-star. Definitely wouldn't be a 4-star. A 5-star would be laughable. It would be like a 2.5. And if you saw a restaurant with 2.5 stars, if you check those comments, there would be most likely negative comments. So there's a part of me that really doesn't fault people, right? This is why I stopped at one point, guys. I used to think everybody needs to get married. I'm talking when I was young, right? Growing up, you get taught, you're supposed to grow up, you're supposed to get married, and that's what everyone's supposed to do. And, that's what God wants for you. And then you grow up and you realize not everyone gets married. Not everyone values marriage. But not only that, some people have terrible marriage experiences. Are you supposed to remarry, right? There are a lot of people who've been through divorce. And I'm not trying to justify the negativity, but they are giving their real life experience. And I'm not surprised that the majority of it is negative. And I think at that point, it's like, it's up to you. Do you want to deal with that negativity? Yes, a few might listen. A few might actually be positively influenced. If you want to talk about your relationship put yourself out there, but is it worth it? And I just think people need to be careful, because in the end, you can end up putting stress on your marriage, right? You can end up weakening you guys' peace at home, which nobody wants.
So I saw a creator on here talking.
Well, you know what? I can say we can agree to disagree. I think everybody will do what's best for them, but for me, I'm going to protect what's real, and everybody else gets the leftovers. Let's see what Gillis has to say. I have grown to learn that not everyone has our best interest at heart. It's a sad phenomenon when you realize this, especially from people that you think are close to you. Yeah, it's true. My man says this, women are happy for each other as long as they get it first. So be very careful if you're the one to couple up and move away from the pack and you're not available, pardon me, you're not available for happy hour or girls trips or whatever anymore. Expect it. But don't let it distract you. Don't let it dissuade you. Just expect it. Because unfortunately, that's just human nature. The evil eye is real. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, and I think people have the wrong expectation in thinking that marriage is just about happiness. Marriage is much more than that. It comes with the good, the bad, the neutral, the uneventful, and again, just, understanding that that it's okay to keep that stuff to yourself, because again, who's the one living with each other? It's only you and your husband and your children. That's it. If something goes wrong, those people that are wanting to learn everything about your marriage are not the ones coming to help you out if there's a need for help. So again, just from the introvert here, which it comes easy for me, keeping things private, it's much, much better in the end.
And Lucy said it, marriage is not all about happiness. And I'll say it, marriage is not for everybody. I've had to learn that. Not everybody is built for relationships. Not everybody is going to win. And that's okay. And ladies, again, it's not your job. Even if you have something that's wonderful and you genuinely want others to have the same joy, it is not your responsibility to fix it for them. All right, let's go back in.
About and asking, why do happily married women gatekeep their marriages? And I'll say this year my husband and I will be married 15 years, and
Wow.
I know for me personally, I started to gatekeep my marriage when the continuous comments about us not really being happy, people asking, are you sure you're happy? I had an older woman a year or so into our marriage ask if we're still happy. And I said, yes, we are. We love each other, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, we'll see.
See, why would you say that? Why say something like that?
I have a YouTube channel and we started vlogging our journey, being married, also believing God for children. And the comments that were coming from people that we knew, unfortunately, was not quite nice. We found out that we were the topic of some group chats. And also, like, oh, there's no way they're that happy, blah, blah, blah. I remember my husband bought me a car. That was a conversation, all those things. And so eventually we started to just close up. We started to keep things to ourselves, and because it honestly, it was very discouraging. It wasn't fun. Like, you're supposed to celebrate happiness and marriage and all those things. And, when you're constantly hearing conversations or whatever about, they faking, they such and such, they blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're like, you know what? All right, let me just stay here in my bubble. So yeah, we gatekeep. We definitely gatekeep. I know now, as we've gotten older,
right,
we do share things here and there because we're both on social media. And, I think it's important to show healthy relationships, healthy marriages, healthy, happy families. But there are certain things that we still gatekeep because people are weird. And some people are just very unhappy in their relationships and the things that they don't have or they wish they had. So instead of celebrating, they choose to comment negatively. So, I gatekeep a little bit. We gatekeep a little bit. But, we're finding that balance again, of course, to show, that there are happy marriages out there. So
Nice.
15 years in, and that's my best friend.
Wow.
I love that. 15 years in, and that's my best friend. All right, so I want to unpack this one. Yeah, Killis nailed it on the head. What a bitter comment. We will see. It went by pretty quickly, but did you all hear her? They started this, I guess, YouTube channel on their relationship, and I love the genuine heart behind it, but it's almost like it's doomed before it starts. Once you have some lived experience. But did you hear her when she said we were the subject of group chats from people that we knew? So she's here on the internet sharing for the world to see, a noble gesture, maybe, but just like Killis said, not everybody has your best interest at heart. And it can especially hurt when it's people that's close to you. I mean, sometimes, you hear a comment from a stranger, we get comments about something. It's like, I don't know you. You wouldn't say that in the real world. It's just internet courage. Okay, that's fine. You can dismiss it. But that's why I say, ladies, that one time in a row, it's real. Whether they're, younger women that you're friends with or older women that for whatever reason have gotten to a certain point in life and they're miserable and they want everybody else to be around them miserable. Here's what I would do. If you decide to gatekeep your relationship, which I do, you're going to have to find other ways that you can maintain a relationship with that person. I'm not saying cut them off and never speak to them again, especially if they're family. You may need to see them at family events or whatever, but what can you do? Maybe this is the person you try a new restaurant with, or you go get manis and petties, or you do other things, but the relationship is not a topic of conversation. And you're going to have to find, in my opinion, an elegant way to say, oh, there's certain things that I want to keep close to the chest, but I appreciate you wanting to know, right? We talked about that in one of our courses. I can't remember, but prepare for it. People are going to want to pry, especially if you don't openly share. They're going to sometimes assume the worst, sometimes think there's trouble in paradise. I remember when I was getting married and I was trying on wedding dresses, and I don't know why this woman was there, how she was there, but there was an older woman, and I married at 25. So this is 25 years ago. And I'm all excited and I'm trying on wedding dresses. And she was like, you seem really happy. I was like, yeah, I know. I'm so excited. Marrying my college boyfriend. And she was like, well, we'll see how long that lasts. And I never forgot it. 25 years later to this day, I remember there was something about her that just wanted to get that dig in and twist that knife. It wasn't just enough to keep your mouth shut like we were raised. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. But why would you pick someone in their moment of pure joy and celebration and just say something so mean and hateful? And it stuck with me and I never forgot it. So, again, I don't believe that we have a responsibility to fix these broken people. That's why I am laser focused on the young women who have chosen marriage and family. I believe those are the ones that we need to wrap our arms around and provide support to them, because they're quiet and they're getting kicked in the teeth regularly and they don't say anything about it. They just try to build their relationships, and that is my priority. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, and sometimes you have to look at, the tongue of some people. Those words could be a curse on you. Again, there people, there's a really dark energy that some people bring, that they want you to fail, that they want you to suffer, without any kind of reason. They have figured out that you're the person that they're going to spew all that negativity on. And the last thing you want to bring that to is your family life, your relationship, your husband. Protect your relationship to all costs.
100% I agree. All right, so let's listen to Chisa and we will wrap this up.
It's beautiful. What a refreshing video I just did today. I'm proud of myself.
Drink the coffee. It'll make you feel better.
This is usually the shit show over here. We're usually looking at everything. This was great. Ladies, to the women, subscribe to the Coffee Pod. Head over, give this lady a follow on TikTok if you are on there. A few comments here, just a few. Top comment here says that there's a difference between gatekeeping happy marriages versus keeping people out of your business. Hey, you could do both. Somebody else who says, I've been married for 19 years as of this May. I don't discuss my marriage with anyone. We worked together for almost 20 years and only a few knew we were married. We worked together for almost 20 years and only a few knew we were married. Really? It's kind of crazy. This year, we decided to not put anything on social media about anniversaries and such. We know what we are to each other and we don't need to try to make others believe it. I gatekeep and will gatekeep forever. Another person who says marriage is sacred and should be treated as such. Yeah.
I do happily married couples, happily married women gatekeep their marriage.
Because there's people who are low-key praying for the downfall of your marriage. And it be some of the closest people to you. Keep gatekeeping.
First thing that comes to my mind are the amount of women who just hope, they see a good husband. Of course, I'm going to big up the men over here. They see a good husband and they just wish they could catch you slipping, right? They wish that the divorce could happen. They're ready to swoop in. Top comment here says, when I was engaged to my husband, one of his female friends said to one of his guy friends, when they don't work out, put in a good word for me with him. Wow, there you go. That's when we started gatekeeping our relationship. Women, especially, this chick says, are out to see good relationships fail, unfortunately. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link into the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today. Where are
All right, so let's wrap this one up. Yeah, that's really hard to hear. So what's the takeaway, ladies? I love that last woman said, yes, it's going to be some of the people closest to you. So I wanted to rip the Band-Aid off on this one, especially for our young, bright-eyed, hopeful, what is the word? Really optimistic. I see a lot of myself in that. If you haven't had this experience, I want you to prepare yourself. This is not doom and gloom. But ladies, we talked about this in the little tea we just had. You all have been seeing the statistics, right? What was it? 300 something thousand jobs are lost. And a lot of women that have hitched their wagon to being a boss babe, being, professional, having hot girl decade, having a rotation, using men for money and bills and all this stuff and thinking that they're winning. Winter is coming for them. Again, it's not your job to rescue them, but I'm saying this just as Mr. President says, just keep on living. You're going to see a lot of these same women who swore that they would never believe in, a pure relationship. That's going to be the one thing that they desperately want. Not all, because I can hear y'all now howling at the moon. Not everybody wants a relationship. Fine. This content isn't for you. But for the young women that have chosen that, number one, protect your relationship. Number two, prepare for public and even sometimes family members may have something negative to say. So don't let it rattle you. Believe me, they want what you have. Relationships are beautiful. They're a lot of work, but they are rare. So when you have that, treat it like the precious jewel that it is, because there's a lot of men out here, but there aren't a lot of husbands out here. Likewise, I don't talk to men, but there's a lot of women, but men will tell you there's not a lot of wife candidates. So when you find each other and you get yourself out of this dating market, just realize that not everybody's going to be happy for you, and it's sad. If you choose to share, I will say this, some of the people have said, we need to talk about relationships because people need to see the example. I think there's a way to do that without betraying any trust or making anything that's private or personal for public consumption. The way that you carry yourself, the way that you show up, what you do, what you don't do, where you go, where you don't go, the hobbies that you have, the entertainment that you consume. You are a representation of your husband, of your man, even if he's not physically with you. So you can show what a relationship is like, even something as simple as, oh, let me run that by my husband and I'll get back to you. That in and of itself, for someone who's actually paying attention and saying, oh, wow, okay, she actually wants to make sure they're in agreement before she decides to go here, spend that, or do whatever. So there's a way that women that respect their relationships behave, and that speaks volumes. That is why I tell the young ones, you don't have to explain anything to anyone. Just be a good woman to a good man. Believe me, they are watching, and those who want to learn will learn, and the rest of them, like Mr. President will say, just fall off me. What would you add, Lucy?
And you don't need validation of the world to show that you're to know that your relationship is a happy, well established, well I don't know, a good relationship. Again, the world is going to have everything to say about you. It really doesn't matter, because what matters is what happens between you and your husband, you, your husband, your children, and your home. Everything else is a distraction. And the less distraction that you can bring into your relationship, the happier and the less bothered your environment is going to be.
Absolutely. So I'm going to see what you all are saying in the comments, and then we will wrap this up. Rodney says, I see now the importance of gatekeeping your relationship. It's true. And ladies, once something's out of the bag, like one of our sponsors will say, that bell cannot be unrung. It's much more important. And if you do have good news, just wait a little bit. Lucy and I just did the Protecting Your Home class. I believe it is our job as the women in the relationship to keep those home fires burning, to keep the love alive, and to nurture. Our men, their responsibility is to go out there, slay the dragons, protect, provide, all of that. But the way that we protect our relationship and our home and our man is by keeping those sacred things sacred. All right. Killa says, I gatekeep my family. My parents, my brothers is what I have. Absolutely. I hear you. And Rodney says, facts, Miss Maggie. There are a lot of men out here, but not a lot of husbands, marriage-minded men. So again, it depends on what you want. Marriage isn't for everyone. That's the content that we make for the young women that are interested in marriage and family. So, let this be a reminder to you. If you feel like you're getting, people trying to throw stones and hide their hands and make little digs and, ask ridiculous questions and try to sow seeds of doubt, you're not alone. It's happened to all of us. You just need to decide, okay, what is for me is for me and us, and nobody needs to know about it. I think Kevin Samuel said, a relationship between a man and a woman, no one else needs to understand. So again, in closing, the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, we start 1 week from today. You can go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. I think Killis has also dropped the link. This is our 8-week signature course. We teach ladies all about elegance, femininity. If you want to be remembered for the right reasons, if you want to stand out as a woman who is the best version of herself, that's one of those attributes that never ages. You can always be a feminine woman in a very masculine world. So what would you say to close this out, Lucy?
It was great. It's great to be back. Thank you all for commenting, for keeping the chat engaged, and for spending your Saturday afternoon with us.
Could not agree more. Thank you all. Saw you on Instagram and on TikTok. So Lucy and I will be back. Just turn on your notifications. We're here until we are not. But ladies, teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. Gentlemen, if you want to, you can sponsor your woman. You can go to the checkbox at checkout and put her email and let her enroll in the course. And our workbooks will be going out soon. And we look forward to teaching you all. So until then, we will see you all on the next one. And we will say, adios. All right.